Hello, you guys, and welcome to my week 17, second to the last week of the NFL season prediction video. I'm going to be going through these games in order as we have three games on Christmas, a couple on Saturday, and then a slew of games on Sunday, of course. But without further ado, let's get to the games. Obviously, to start us off at 1 o'clock on Christmas, we have the Dallas Cowboys visiting the Washington Commanders. The Dallas Cowboys are obviously eliminated. They can no longer get into the playoffs. A week ago was a long stretch. And the Commanders, obviously not a season that anybody really expected after last year. Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys have been a pretty high scoring offense this year. It's hard to really say what the Washington Commanders have done well, but looking at this game, Dak isn't sitting. I think that's, a positive thing. I think that, he wants to show that he's going to continue to play hard and continue to try and play good football like he has this season. The Commanders, I guess Mariota's questionable. I don't know if I'm being honest, if Jaden Daniels, I'm pretty sure he was deactivated for this season. Actually, I'm pretty sure that is the case. So Marcus Mariota will be the starter. The Commanders haven't been doing very good lately. Obviously, against Philadelphia was just kind of like, there's no way they're going to win this game. The Giants game, I mean, the Giants are worse off than the Commanders this year. Got shut out by the Vikings, but overall had put up two, overtime games, 4 and 5 games ago. Be that as it may, I think that Dallas is going to be able to approach this game with a very balanced attack and have a very effective offensive game. So I'm taking Dallas for this one, even though I think that 7 points is a little bold with it being a divisional game. You have Lions and Vikings. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I really hope that the Vikings win just because I think it would be really funny for them to guarantee a playoff spot for the Packers. But then there's another thing that I actually want to say. So the Lions just haven't been that good of a team, this year, obviously, with the amount of losses that they've had. Dallas, a team that they obviously dominated, and then they had a close one against the Giants. But every other team that you see here, even including Pittsburgh, is a playoff team. And now that doesn't play into the Vikings, of course, but the Vikings, to me, have a much better defense. They can get after Jared Goff. They can really ruffle his feathers. And then I really do think that the Vikings, have an offense that's going to be able to score a lot and do very well against Detroit, whose defense just hasn't been very good. So yeah, I'm going with the underdog Vikings. And that's my pick for this game. Broncos Chiefs. A game to me that would have meant something if Mahomes hadn't gotten injured, if they hadn't lost the games that, you think they should have won to still be in playoff contention. But we have Denver, who just suffered a pretty bad loss against the Jaguars. But the Jaguars have been red hot. The Denver Broncos, although they're traveling to Kansas City Chiefs, they have the pressure. They have the pressure of maintaining the 1 seed, and obviously with the way things that have rolled, they could potentially give it up to not only the Chargers but the Patriots, and it's still undeniably a toss up for the 1 seed. I'm pretty sure there's other teams in the mix, but we won't get into that. But I'm going to go for Denver in this game because I think that Kansas City is on a third string quarterback and doesn't have much hope, if I'm being honest. Now we have the start of the Saturday games. We have the Texans going to play the Chargers. The Chargers, obviously, behind, the Broncos in their division, and then Houston still behind the Jaguars because of their impressive win over the Broncos last week. So looking at this game, I do think Houston's offense has struggled, and they struggled in the last game that they played. I thought that Las Vegas was going to be a team that they would be able to steamroll, but seemingly the only reason they won this game was because they got a free pick six and overall just kind of eked by the Raiders. So looking at this game, I think the Chargers really kind of ignited something against the Cowboys. Obviously a bad defense, but it seems to me that the Chargers just kind of have that grit, kind of have that tenacity to do very good things. So looking at this game, I kind of trust, even though Herbert has, 6 more picks than Stroud. Stroud obviously missed time this year. I kind of trust Herbert a little bit more than Stroud because Stroud hasn't, wowed me. He's been off and on, and I think, kind of the root of their problems. So I'm going with, the Chargers at home in a game of destiny, which they seem to be a team of destiny this year. So I'm going with the Chargers, and we're moving on. Ravens visit the Packers. My Packers can obviously solidify a playoff spot with a single win in either of their games the final 2 weeks. This one being against the Ravens, the final week being against the Vikings. If it was me, though, I would be wanting to secure a playoff win with this game and then potentially battle for the division with the final week of the season, because the Bears, while they're ahead right now, overall, they have a chance to lose their next two because it's against San Fran and then it's against the Lions. So looking at this game, I just think that my Packers, whether it be Malik Willis, whether it be Jordan Love, they kind of proved something last week against the Bears. Yes, you can have a monumental collapse, but I also think that the Green Bay realizes that, hey, it's the last home game of the year. We really need to bring some magic in. And to me, Baltimore, I don't really think Lamar Jackson plays with a back contusion, you guys. So yeah, well, it's Snoop Huntley who plays pretty well, and they are only listing Lamar Jackson as questionable here. I just overall think that this team is kind of in a disarray on offense, and the Packers can take care of business. So, looking at that, I just overall think that, the Packers have a lot more to play for. I mean, even though you could say the Ravens are still in a playoff hunt, but they need so much to go their way. So I'm going for Green Bay to have a recovery game against a team that is kind of stifling, and who knows what kind of team you're going to get. Moving on to Sunday, we have the Cardinals visit Cincinnati. Simply put, I'm going Cincinnati. I think that they'll score enough. I think they'll be able to beat the Cardinals. The Cardinals, who have had a couple of games now where they gave up a lot to Houston, they gave up a lot to the Rams, they gave up, a decent amount to Atlanta, and they just overall have had a collapse at the end of the year here. I don't expect them to really turn it around here. I think that they're going to play for a high pick. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals pick the Bengals over the Cardinals. Goodness, I'm sorry. But yeah, well, Cincinnati needs to be having fun to keep Gerald Burrow happy. Steelers versus Browns. So this game will be a tough, gritty AFC North competition. The Pittsburgh Steelers will be without DK Metcalf, who is going to appeal a suspension over the final 2 games of the season. And it kind of sucks, that the Cleveland doesn't have Quinshon Judkins. He was put on IR. I feel really sorry for him. I thought he was having a pretty good year despite the offense that they have. So it comes down to Shedeur Sanders and Harold Fanning. So do I really think that they'll be enough? I don't really think so. I think this will be a somewhat gritty game, though. But I expect Pittsburgh to kind of, win this one out because they're the better team. And hopefully TJ Watt is back, who is listed as questionable now. And Myles Garrett, kudos to you preemptively on breaking the sack record. I really do think he's going to get at least 1 sack on Rodgers this game, unless they play crazy keep away. Saints, Titans, simply put, I think Shuck is turning some heads. Obviously, he's not on a great team, but he's playing very, very well. And Kellen Mond, I think, their head coach, I think, is doing a good job with a team that many thought, oh, they'll be the worst team, but they've been doing decently well lately, winning, 3 of their last 5, I guess. And, they're seemingly playing good football around the board, not some crazy high amount of points scored, but they're not giving up a lot. So, looking at this game, I think that they'll do well against Tennessee. And I think that Tennessee and Cam Ward, I think that they just need some more talent on their team to get this clicking offensively. But I'm going with New Orleans. Don't let me down. Jaguars, Colts. We saw the Colts get blown out by the Niners Monday night. And then Jacksonville, obviously beat Denver. They're the hottest team in the NFL right now. I can't go against that. I think Trevor Lawrence, Cohen has finally tapped into him, and his potential and making him consistent like he needs to be. And they're doing it without even Travis Hunter. And they look very good across the board. They have Washington, they have Brian Thomas, kind of leading the way, but Washington, what a game he had. And the Colts, I just don't think that there's much of a shot for the Colts to win out and somehow secure a playoff spot. I think it's just way too uphill. So yeah, I'm going with the Jaguars. Buccaneers, Dolphins. Obviously, the Buccaneers have kind of the easier finish to their schedule other than Carolina. They play the Dolphins this week, and then they play Carolina again, which if they win this one, it will come down to a final week showdown between them and the Panthers for this division and a playoff spot. Obviously, they've had a shot to beat Carolina this last weekend, but they just could not pull it off. The Dolphins got slapped around by Cincinnati. I think this is a good get right game for the Buccaneers, on a short trip to Miami, and they really, really need this one. So I'm picking the Buccaneers. Patriots, Jets, not much needs to be said. Drake May diced up the Baltimore on Sunday Night Football. Baltimore was kind of their last chance, in my opinion, to be like, oh, we're going to make this come down to a week 18 matchup against the Steelers. But they lost. And then, the Jets just haven't looked that good lately and aren't putting up a lot of points. Obviously, Fields is on season-ending IR. It says he's out here, but he's not gonna miss the rest of the season. So I'm anticipating a win from New England on a short trip to New Jersey for this game. Seahawks, Panthers. This is the game that's kind of talked about a lot more. Can the Panthers win? I think they can. Will they win? I don't think so. I think the Seattle Seahawks are playing the right kind of ball, and they're playing very good away football. So looking at them, at Darnold, at Kenneth Walker, and JSN, I just think their offense is going to be able to score more than the Panthers can put up as well. I think Carolina's whole offense is ball control football with Rico Dowdle and Chuba. And then they pass it to Tetero McMillan, who's been a good red zone threat. And, that's that sort of thing. But looking at this game, I just don't think they're going to be able to keep up with Seattle. So I'm going with Seattle this game on the road. But wouldn't surprise me if Carolina keeps it tight. Giants, Raiders. This is kind of the pity bowl, 2 teams with 16 losses, 26 games combined. I kind of went with the Giants because I like them a little bit better. Obviously, Jackson Dart's fully healthy, Tyrone Tracy fully healthy, Brian Burns, I think, has been having a phenomenal year and will have a phenomenal game here. And, while Max Crosby is very, very good, I think the New York Giants O-line is better than the Raiders by quite a significant margin. So looking at this game, I'm going with the Giants. I wouldn't be surprised if they happen to lose, but what do you do in a game like this? Moving on. Eagles, Bills. The Bills, I actually think, will win this game. I think they need to make it a kind of a statement game. I think that without, with as good of an O line that the Bills have, the second best part of their team after Josh Allen. Josh Allen having a questionable injury, he's going to play tough. He's not going to, he's not going to. He's not going to play who he is, unless there's something really wrong, in which case he wouldn't just be questionable. Looking at James Cook, I think that he can have a good game against this front with the D line that they have. But this game to me kind of comes down to who's going to be make the gutsier plays, who's going to do that. And the Bills to me are the team that I think, will do that in this game. So I'm picking the Bills. Bears, Niners. I picked the Niners because clearly their offense is just way, 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 way better than Chicago. And I mean, the thing about it is that, San Fran has been playing better against the run with all the injuries they have. They don't rush the passer as well, but they do have some wily veterans on that side that will create pressure for Caleb Williams. I think that even if, I guess Luther Burden and Odunze come back, it isn't enough to me for them to come back to say that, hey, this passing attack is just going to automatically work due to the fact that Caleb Williams hasn't been the most accurate passer. And it's just creating headaches for the team to get a consistent passing game going. Yeah, you can tell me all you want about how he threw a dime to DJ Moore to win in overtime and all of that. But like at the end of the day, he overall just misses too many throws, for me to like think, oh, they're going to count on him. And I think that the Bears defense can get lit up by Purdy, especially if he played the way he did on Monday night, which was very, very good and very, very effective. I'm going with San Fran. Now, moving on to the last Monday night game of the year, you guys, we have the Rams going to visit Atlanta. The joke about this game is that if the Rams beat Atlanta, they can better their draft stock potentially. If some other teams, from that are lesser in the win column come, but I honestly think that the Rams are going to carve up the Falcons. It's kind of a boon to them that they have AJ Terrell to guard Puka, as he is one of the better corners in the league. I still think Puka can be amazing and do a lot of things, but being without Davante Adams isn't going to help them. But the Falcons, I think they will kind of crumble in this game. Even if they play tough early, they're going to give up a lot of points late. So I expect the Rams to be able to win this game pretty soundly and, stay hot on the tail of Seattle, who, could potentially lose this week, because we shouldn't underestimate the Panthers. But tell me what you guys think about, this week's slew of games. I think we have some certainly very good ones. The ones on Christmas are kind of but it's kind of a thing to me that you pass the time with and you have some conversation with loved ones. But I would like to tell everybody a happy Christmas, happy New Year, and we'll see you all next week. And as always, go Pack.